Hey everyone, I hope that your Monday is going well thus far. I just wanted to touch base as we are transitioning from Unit 4 to Unit 5. So now that we have discussed secondary sources, and I'm looking forward to jumping into those conversations with you on hypothesis here over the next couple of days. It always takes me just a little bit to get into your conversations because I want to make sure that you're able to share with each other before I kind of step in and say things. So I'll be doing that over the next couple of days and making sure that you have credit for your work on hypothesis around those secondary sources. So we were working with either the Garner article or the article that I wrote, whichever one of those two you chose, and then the podcast on bananas from Throughline. So trying to think about a very different format for a secondary source on history. And that is certainly the Throughline podcast and a few others. As an aside, if you're interested in podcasts, you like history podcasts, and would like more further recommendations, let me know and I'll be happy to recommend a few things that I really like. One of those is The Memory Palace. So that's something to look at if you're interested in history podcasts and also in creative nonfiction. I think is the best way to describe what he does on that podcast. Okay, so that's kind of where we've been. Where we're going this coming week is looking at primary sources. And so you'll be reading through the unit narrative, thinking about how primary sources for historical study differ from secondary sources in terms of their scope, in terms of how we need to approach them from a critical angle as we try to uncover what happened in the past and create the fullest narrative as possible. We're also going to be thinking about where to find primary sources. And so, these days there are many places, many ways to do that. Digitally is something that, or a platform or a method, I guess, that many of us are trying to use, especially in light of the pandemic, trying to see what libraries have what resources available digitally for research purposes. There are things like Chronicling America from the Library of Congress. That's a digitized database of historical newspapers from the U.S. And so we'll get more into this after we go through Unit 5. Remember, Unit 5 is going to cover the next 3 weeks. So for the next 3 weeks, we're going to be thinking about primary sources, about doing research, and about how to approach primary source materials from a critical angle. So this week is kind of that introductory week. Please, if you have time, if you can make the time, please join us on Wednesday afternoon for Dr. Catherine Massoth. She's going to join us via Zoom. I'll have the link below this video. And she's going to talk to us about her experiences doing archival research. She's going to talk to us about how the pandemic has impacted her research agenda, the methods that she's been able to use, and so on. So that we can kind of just get a sense from a historian working in the field of the history of the American West and the borderlands about what this looks like. During the second week of Unit 5, that's next week, I've given you a set of documents that I found while doing archival research for my dissertation, and we're going to work with those, so you'll get a taste of what that's like to do some work in the archives. I'm also going to set up the option of a couple of meetings, Zoom meetings, during the second week of the unit, if you would like to talk through the documents, if you have questions about them, you're not quite sure how to approach them, we'll have those moments so that we can talk about them. I'm really excited to get into all these things, these issues of doing primary source research with you this week. And over the next 3 weeks. So please let me know, as always, if you have questions, if you need any help. And please, again, if at all possible, please join us on Wednesday for Dr. Massoth. I want to make sure that she has a good audience, that there's not just two of us that are present for her. So again, she's taking time out of her busy schedule for us. And so if at all possible, please join us. You do get extra mile credit for coming. So I very much recommend it, and I'm asking you to do your best to be there if at all possible. And again, I do understand, though, if you can't, because it's a Wednesday afternoon at 3. So that said, I will leave it there. I hope you're having a good Monday, and I'll talk to you soon.